All right, my first obvious question. You're probably gonna have to answer this a million times, so let me be the first one, or I don't even know if I'm the first one. But how do you get some of these guests like Steve Vai and Brian May and these guys to appear in this record?
You ask.
What?
You
Oh,
just
just
ask.
that's it?
Rock, metal, prog, and everything in between. Welcome to this episode of Talkin' Rock with Meltdown. Don't forget to follow the audio-only Talkin' Rock podcast on all podcast platforms. And now, it's time for today's conversation. Here's Meltdown.
And there they are, the two legends, Bumblefoot and what is that guitar's name?
It doesn't have a name. We should give it a name. What do you think?
I don't know, but the first time I met you was in 2018, I want to say, and you let me hold that guitar, and it's like that is your legendary guitar.
Yeah, this is the thing. I hide behind it so no one can see my face, and I just play it. So wait, it's 2018 is the first time we met. We had to meet before then.
Maybe it was 17, I can't recall, but I saw your screen grab of your the picture from 2018 where you guys all caught up in the coffee shop that you put in your story, say on Instagram. I just happened to see that. And I want to say that right before that, we did an interview in Niagara Falls. I want to say it was November of 2018, which was not the first time I'd met you, but we did an interview in my car before your gig with David Ellefson. It was right
I remember
before.
it was like we were freezing our ass off in the car, just like doing an interview in there. Yeah.
Well, we weren't that cold. I mean, my car does have heat. Come on, man.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But
Well, freezing our ass off, and then you put the heat on in the car, and then we weren't cold. Yeah.
That's right. So, anyways, no, but I was thinking to myself, that picture must have been shortly after we hung out because that was in Niagara Falls with Ellefson. And who else was playing with you guys?
I don't remember.
Remember you were touring and I think you guys wrapped up each show with like a Kiss song or something.
That's right. It was. Oh wait, it was the guys from the band Dead by Wednesday. Great band.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
And all those dudes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great
Open.
bunch.
Yeah. I haven't heard that name in a while. Yeah. And then, of course, you came through with the machine shop with Frank Bello and Ellefson and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. That was fun. Yeah, we had a lot of good hangs, good shit.
Yeah. So it's Bumblefoot. This is your life, apparently, on the Instagram
Now
today.
that picture that you're talking about, the one with Head Welsh and everybody, and so that was in Florida,
Yeah.
and that it was either that morning, it was that night or the night before. We went also to get coffee, and then I went in and I came out and I started going to the back of the SUV we were in to put my guitar in there, and it was like it was stuck and it wouldn't. I'm like pulling it, and turns out they moved the vehicle and someone else pulled in, and they thought I was trying to carjack them.
Wait, you were putting your guitar in somebody else's car?
That's what I was. Yeah, and they were like, "What the hell?" Like it was some family that was parked there, and they're looking back. It's like they see some bearded guy with some thing, and he's like trying to open the car in the back. Like what the fuck? And then another car pulls up, and these guys get out, and it turns out that they knew them, but they also knew me, and they're like, "Bumble." It's like, yeah. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to get in their car? It's like, and then I see that it's them, like it's the wrong people. So we have this like running joke that like I tried to carjack someone in Florida.
That was with Brian Head Welsh from Korn. Jason Bieler was there.
Yeah,
Right?
Jason
You and
Bieler.
Ellefson, and who else? There was one other person, I think.
Oh, who else? I gotta look at the picture.
Yeah.
Oh wait, Rich Ross, talented, wonderful guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I carjacked someone, attempted carjacking in Florida.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so that was back in 2018, and now it brings us up to today, January 24th. Is when the next record drops. Your instrumental Bumblefoot returns. Your first one. I found this hard to believe. Your first one in 30 years. Is that true?
Yeah, those years flew by.
Yeah, my God. So 30 years ago would have been 1995, which even sounds crazy to say. Right? Was that when it came out?
That is, yeah. So the
Wow.
very first album that I ever put out on Shrapnel Records, it was this instrumental guitar album called The Adventures of Bumblefoot. And it was just, a bunch of weird guitar music. And since then, I always did vocal stuff and stuff with bands and everything. And then during the pandemic, I got the itch. I was like, let me do a bunch more instrumental things and put out an album. And yeah, it's coming out.
Yeah, January 24th, like I said. So, all right, my first obvious question, you're probably going to have to answer this a million times, so let me be the first one, or I don't even know if I'm the first one, but how do you get some of these guests like Steve Vai and Brian May and these guys to appear on this record?
You ask.
What?
You just ask.
That's it? So wait a second. How do you know Brian May? I didn't know that you knew him.
I know, we have corresponded, here and there for like past 15 years or so. And same with Steve, for like 10 years. And yeah, so just asked him. And Guthrie Govan, I've known since we were teenagers, since 1989. I was in a guitar magazine and he wrote to me. He's like, hi, I'm a guitarist. I live in the UK. Check out my demo. And like, cool. And we became pen pals. We write each other handwritten letters and send cassettes back and forth of just all our little demos and been friends ever since. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to like some of these guys and you want them to appear on some of your songs, how do you know which ones would fit and how do they record them? They record them at their place and then just send them back to you, or are you with them or what?
No, these days people do things remotely. It's
Right.
most common that everyone works remotely when they're doing guest stuff. And you record at your own studio, you send it to the people, and they put it into the multi-tracks and good to go. Yeah, and as you're working on songs, you could just imagine certain people that would fit with the song. And like the song with Brian May, it wasn't the original plan. I was just making a song, but by the time the song was really coming together and all the parts were there and I was hearing it, it's like, my God, this song wouldn't be complete without him. It needs his playing just to make it what it's meant to be. So I asked him and he did it.
Wow.
And over the years, we've done a couple of things together. We've done festivals where we played right with each other on stage doing things. And like there's a festival he's involved with called Starmus, Starmus. It is a mix of astrophysics and music. So they have all these incredible geniuses giving lectures, and then they have a bunch of musicians that play and put on concerts and everything, all combined. And we've done 2 of those together. And next year there's going to be more. So yeah.
Wow, that's great. Brian May, in my in my world, I've never met him. I've never had a chance to interview him or anything like that. But there are just certain rock stars that are like just on a different planet. No pun intended. But it's like, and he's just one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, all the guys that are, everyone that's guests on the album are all wonderful souls, or I wouldn't want them on the album. That's first and foremost. But he absolutely is just such a sweet, wonderful guy. And he's smart as they get. Yeah.
Now he plays with an English coin, doesn't he?
I think he still does, right?
Yeah. Have you ever tried that?
Well, I'm always forgetting picks, so I'll play with anything I can get my hands on. Usually, I'm about to get on stage, like, got a pick? Anyone ever pick?
You don't
I
have.
never asked him, like, got a coin?
You don't have a bunch of them taped to your mic stand?
If I have a guitar tech or something, usually they'll do that because they know I always forget picks. It's like there's a hole in my brain where remembering to bring a pick with you goes, and to this day, there's just something wrong with my brain where I cannot ever remember to bring picks.
So that song is called Once and Forever with Brian May. Of course, the one with Steve Vai is called, okay, you're going to have to tell me.
Monstruoso.
Monsteroso. Okay, so tell me about that track.
Yeah, it's just this crazy track. It's got this like dubstep kind of monstrous sounds in it. And it's just a heavy song that it has this breakdown in the middle. And then it comes back with Steve playing this alien solo. And I've written out, after the album was done, I started transcribing the entire album. Every musical notation, every tablature, every finger, every pick up and down stroke, pluck, every weird thing that happens with instructions, and I'll put out a book for the whole album. And the hardest thing to figure out that was played on that entire album was Steve's solo. I could not figure out what he did. He makes the strangest sounds out of a guitar, and it just really sounds like an alien talking to you, and you're trying to figure it out. I spent weeks experimenting with pitch shifters and harmonizers and momentary switches that change the pitch and all the stuff to try and figure out what he did. And I asked him, I was like, what did you do? And like, I don't know. He's like, I just play it. I did a solo. I don't remember. I didn't write it down. I just played a solo. It's like, I couldn't tell you what I did. It's like, oh. That was the biggest challenge about this entire album, was trying to figure out what the hell he played. Yeah.
No kidding. So the record opens up with the song that you just released called Simon in Space. That's about your cat, or with your cat. Right? Is that right?
That's my cat in the spaceship, yeah.
So, by the way, the album cover is really kick-ass. It's almost like it almost reminds me of like this an up-to-dated like Boston album cover. You know how Boston had that album cover with the guitar that was backwards, and people didn't even realize it was a guitar for years, didn't they?
Yeah, I noticed right away. I mean, you could tell the shape, the curves of the body and all. But yeah, so my very first album that I put out, it had this weird, just chaotic cover that was, I did it all myself. It looks it, and it has this half bee, half foot, this thing. It looks like a human foot with black and yellow stripes and wings and a stinger flying overhead. That was like the main creature. That was the Bumblefoot. And just all this chaos around it, and burning buildings and dogs puking and like all this, the ground opening up and just all this crazy stuff going on. So it's almost like an updated version of that, where instead of that bee foot thing, now it's like a spaceship that resembles the double neck guitar, and my cat is flying it, and all these like weird aliens and just bizarre things everywhere, and exploding planets and all of that stuff. So it's like a 30-year morphing, updating, evolving of all of that. And I'm putting out the album on vinyl. It's going to be double LP gatefold with full color sleeves on both sides, and the second disc is a clear UV pressing with art on side 4. So I'm going all out. And then it's going to be a CD that has just one CD, and then a booklet that pulls out, but it's not a stapled booklet. It's going to be a fold out that folds out like to 4 times the size into like a big square poster, and on the other side another image of it. And I'm doing cassette.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's the thing too. People are putting out cassettes. What record label are you working with?
My own.
Okay, just do it yourself. I got you. Yeah, you're a hands-on guy, from the record cover to the vinyl to the cassettes and everything.
Yeah, so with the artwork, that's what's taken the longest this year of getting it out. Is I hired someone, because I tried to do the main, I guess call it guitar ship, the spaceship double neck myself, and it just wasn't coming out right. So I hired someone to make it, and they did a great job. And then I hired someone to turn it into 3D, where they used 3D modeling rendering software and converted it all to a 3D model so that it could be used in video. And also, anytime I want to do artwork with it, you could put it at any angle and then just make a 2D image of it. It's not like you have to redraw it every time you want a different 2D image. So you can make 10 different pictures of this thing at 10 different angles, and all you're doing is you're just moving the 3D model. And then just say, just render 2D image. So we also made a video game.
Oh, you did?
Yep. It was supposed to come out with the with everything, with the video, the music video, which everyone should watch this animated music video on YouTube. It's pretty wacky, and with the single. But there's also a video game, but Apple flagged it for review and held up the release of it. So rather than putting it out just for PC and Google's, Google Play and all that, for Android, and not have it available for Apple stuff, we're waiting until it could be out for everything. But I'll show you it right now if you want to see what it looks like.
Okay.
It is a very fun game. I suck at it, but it's fun as hell. Let me flip the camera. So it's like an old retro from 30 years ago, like space shooter game. So here's that. You hit new game, and then you are the guitar ship down here. All you do is you just hold it down and move it around, and it starts. And you just shoot, spin, and grab the power-ups, and then there's more of them. I got you! Yeah, now these things are shooting back at you. So you gotta go between the bullets and shoot them, get the power up, and then this one, damn. But that's, and then it gets more and more.
Oh my God.
There's more and more things. Like then there's these like big mice in these ships that are shooting at you and all kinds of stuff. And so, yeah, it is a free game. It's gonna be free for people to just download and play, just something that'll be fun. I just want this to be enjoyable for people. Like, I don't care about the business aspect. I just want to put out a great piece of art for the vinyl and for the CD and the cassette, and a video game, and this crazy video that we worked on for a year. This guy, Radek Grabinski, has this company Gloomyware in Poland that made the video game and helped me with the music video. He really took that video to a great place, and just to make fun things for people to enjoy the music with.
No, that's great, dude. And by the way, you said something about, watching the video on YouTube, and I did. I watched the video, and it's got a ton of comments. And, I don't know how often you look at comments. I know some of these guys in the rock star business, they don't like to look at the comments. But, man, the comments were overwhelmingly positive. People were kind of blown away by it.
Yeah, surprisingly. I mean, usually comments could get pretty vicious.
Right.
And I'm happy to say that so far so good. I think the only bad comment I got was that someone said that the production is terrible and the drum sound is terrible. It's like, okay, go listen to what you like, then whatever. Yeah, I disagree, but
right.
Maybe I'm a little biased. But.
Yeah, there you go. Do you normally read the comments and stuff that involves you?
It's a bad idea to do that.
Right.
But when it's with my own music, yes, so that I can answer people if they have a question and I can interact. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know you're big like on Facebook and X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. What's going on in your other projects right now?
Then Whom Gods Destroy. We put out a bunch of videos and we put out the album. And now we need to make a second album and then start touring. They don't want to tour until we do a second album so that we have enough material to fill headlining and so that's the plan with that, is we just need to make a second album now.
Yeah. What do you got coming up in 2025? I mean, are you going to be touring on this record and doing some other things?
Oh, I'll probably be doing a lot of festival shows and maybe not a lot of festival shows, but a lot of combined music camps and festival shows and clinics and things like that. The next thing I'm doing is it's going to be in Jakarta. 85,000 people. In the first 3 days, 60,000 tickets sold. Wow. It is a band called Dewa 19, the biggest rock band in Indonesia. And I've known their old singer, and we've done stuff together, and great bunch of guys. And during the pandemic, we did a lot of studio work together. We did these sort of collaborations of their band and pretty much the Sons of Apollo, Whom Gods Destroy guys combined, like things with Dino and Jeff Scott Soto and Billy on bass, and it would be Simon Phillips on drums, and Derek on keys. And so we're doing a show, this big show that's going to be me, Derek, and Dino from Whom Gods Destroy as guests. John Waite is going to be there. Billy and Eric from Mr. Big. And Nuno and Gary from Extreme.
Wow, there's a who's who. You do a lot of collaborations with all these guys, don't you?
It's fun stuff, yeah.
Yeah, what's so fun about it?
You get to make music with people that you like making music with, and it's not the usual thing. You
Right.
know, when you're doing your own music, it's your own music. When you're doing a band, it's those band members. But these collaborations, you get to really stretch out and connect with a lot of different people, and it's a lot of fun. It's very enjoyable doing that stuff.
Yeah, now that it's in the rear view mirror, and I'm not sure if you're doing anything with the guys coming up here, but what was your experience with the Asia tour?
Oh, that was wonderful. There was such a great bunch of guys, and this past July, Jeff Downs toured with a bunch of his guys and called it Asia and went out, and it was phenomenal. I went to see them when they played in Jersey, and we all hung out, and phenomenal. And seriously, the guy that's fronting the band now, he plays bass and sings and really captures John Wetton's spirit and the spirit of the songs. And he is the perfect guy for the band, not me, him. He was phenomenal, and they were so good. And I told him, I was like, he's a keeper. You got to keep him. And it was wonderful. Highly recommended to go see them. Go see Jeff Downs' version of Asia. I mean, he's a founding member, so he's Asia. Definitely worth seeing. The tour that we did together, loved it. Yeah, they're great guys, great players. It was a well-oiled machine. And getting to be direct support for Yes, and for them to open with the song Going for the One, which is my favorite Yes album.
Yeah,
And
great. Yeah.
yeah, so that was a thrill. And then it was all the surviving members of the band playing together. For the last four songs of the Asia set, I would take off my guitar, and Steve Howe would come out, and we would play the big hits, and I would just sing, and it was fun, and loved it. Absolutely. I'm so glad we got to do it.
I remember talking to you before that, and you were like, you were working on your voice and working on singing, and you said you didn't want to sound like Ethel Merman.
Well, yeah, because normally, I'm like high-pitched metal singer, big vibrato, and John Wetton is the opposite of that. He's this smooth, beefy, no vibrato, kind of just very direct kind of thing. So I spent 2 months, 8 hours a day, singing this stuff over and over and just finding how to get comfortable. It was like an actor trying to become the character that he has to play, and you have to like forget about yourself and become that character for it to be genuine. And that's what I did. I changed the way I sang. I did it enough to the point that when I'm frantically staring at a few thousand people, that I won't default to the normal way I sing, Ethel Merman. So and to try and just keep the more airy, bottomy, straightforward sound that John Wetton had. The most important thing was that I wanted people, when they heard the songs, to feel like they were taken back to that time in their life. Because I know how important that is. Music is the soundtrack to our lives, whether we're making it or we're listening to it. And I did not want to deny people that experience. They're coming to hear Asia. If it's the wrong sounding voice, it's just going to screw up everything. So I did all I could to make sure that I sounded as much as I could like John Wetton, and did the best I could. And it was good. It was a great experience.
And you got to watch John Anderson every night?
It wasn't John Anderson.
Oh, okay, was it? Okay.
Yeah, but I'm terrible with names. Forgive me. But the dude that's doing it, phenomenal, and also a great guy, wonderful guy, and man, can he sing that stuff incredibly. Now, John Anderson, he's out doing stuff with a bunch of dudes that I've known since they were teenagers. They're called the Band Geeks. They had a thing on YouTube, and back also like 30 years ago, I was teaching at a music store in Staten Island. There was a place called Bath Music in Brooklyn, And when I was a kid, I would get gear there. And then their son, John Castellano, opened up a place, Castellano's House of Music. And that was a local place. I lived in Staten Island and been in and out of there and started giving guitar lessons there when I was younger and in my 20s. And John's kid, Richie, and all his friends, Andy Graziano and the whole group of them, were these 15-year-old kids that were the most talented little fucks you've ever seen in your life. They could play any Yes song, any Rush song, anything like it's nothing. They were incredible. And so I've done things with them even over the years. Like Richie, he would help me engineer my albums. Like I would be in a room singing and he would be hitting record and stop and play and punching me in and helping me with that stuff. And Andy, we played together. I had him in my band for a minute, and yeah, phenomenal guitar player. And then we started doing, when we were, this was about 20 years ago, these albums. I don't know if a lot of people know about these. They were lounge albums, and we all used fake names because they were so just offensive to listen to, because they were just so cringy, purposely cringy. So my fake names it was Checkers Goldstein. So that's like the angry old guy that yells at his band. He's just like, za-ba-ba-ba-da, shut the fuck up, ba-da-ba-ba-da, and then another guy who just sounded very Tom Jonesy and was all full of himself, and his name was Herbert Ruffles Lovecraft. And we did albums that were lounge versions of Eminem. I did one of Outkast, and of Ozzy and Sabbath. So we were doing that, and Richie ended up becoming the sound man for Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh, wow. And
then he became their bassist. Nope. And then he became their guitarist, and for the longest time he's been their guitarist, and he's writing songs and producing, and like he's really part of that band now, for real. And they started a video thing called Band Geeks, where they would have different people come on, different guests, and they would all just play live, play a bunch of songs. And we did one where we did all kinds of random stuff, from like Iron Maiden to Boston to Beatles, just anything. They became John Anderson's band. So all the touring he's been doing now has been with the Band Geeks as his band, doing all the Yes stuff, and now they did an album together. Yeah.
No kidding.
Amazing. Yeah.
So I think we're the same age. So how big did the 70s prog rock influence you?
Oh, completely. I mean, just 60s and 70s music, raised on it, grew up on it. And it's, that stuff just stays in your DNA and in your blood. So hearing all the 70s prog, even into the 80s, Yes and King Crimson and UK and even Jethro Tull, they count. All of that, yeah, phenomenal, and very much into it. And of course, ELP. That whole scene, loved it.
Yeah, and you brought up Rush. That's what I was thinking. And of course, I mean, going for the one, that's a masterpiece of a record.
Totally, 5 of the most beautifully composed masterpieces a person could ever hear in a collection. And Rush, huge Rush fan, absolutely. My old band, when I was 14 years old, I started playing bars and had this band called Paradox, which is such like a geeky, proggy name. Yeah. So we were proud of it. Paradox. So half our set was originals, and the other half was Rush and Maiden and Ozzy, but mostly Rush. We did like Bytor and the Snow Dog. We did La Villa Strangiato. We did all kinds of, like, just the deepest cuts of the best, craziest Rush stuff. Pretty sure we did like a lot of Hemispheres and Farewell to Kings.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we did Xanadu. What else did we do?
Great song, man.
Yeah. Beneath, Between, Behind, Circumstances, everything. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And of course, 2112. The
Yeah,
whole
2112. You got to do 2112, I suppose. But, well, the new record, Bumblefoot Returns, drops on January 24th. It's got 14 tracks, starting off with Simon in Space and ending with Liftoff. You'd think it'd be like kind of the opposite there. But, and some great guests, like we were talking about Steve Vai, Brian May. And like Bumblefoot was just saying, man, it's coming out in vinyl with the gatefold, and it's coming out in cassette and all sorts of stuff. And they can get all the information on your website.
Yes, bumblefoot.com. That's it. You find everything there.
Well, dude, it's always great to catch up with you. And I can't wait to see you once again back here in the Motor City or wherever our paths may cross.
Absolutely. Definitely.